Let me guess how you got here. You reached under the sink to shut the water off for some small job, swap a faucet, fix a running toilet, and that little valve down by the wall, the one you maybe turned twice in 15 years, either wouldn't budge, or it turned and the water kept right on running. Or worse, it started dripping the second you touched it. Now you've got a bigger problem than the one you started with. Here's the good news, and I mean it. That valve is one of the easiest things in your whole house to replace. The part runs $8 to $15 at any hardware store. A plumber will charge you $150 to $250 to come do the exact same 20-minute job. Between you and me, that's the most expensive 20 minutes in the trade. So today I walk you through it, start to finish. And I'm not just showing you the steps. I'm showing you the 3 or 4 spots where people go wrong, because those are the spots that turn a clean job into a slow drip you chase for a week. My Uncle Ray taught me this valve when I was 16. The thing he drilled into me wasn't how to put it on. It was how not to make it leak. There's a difference, and I'll tell you, most folks never learn it. You don't need a license or a truck full of tools for this. You need a wrench, a new part, and the handful of things I'm about to tell you. We're doing this as 10 numbered steps. Every one matters, but a couple matter more, and I'll flag those. Number 6 is the one most people never even think to check, and it's the reason half these jobs weep after you're done congratulating yourself. And I've got a bonus at the very end, an old telltale trick that tells you for certain the job held. So don't wander off before that. One note before we touch anything. What we're fixing is the little fixture valve, the angle stop, under a sink or behind a toilet, where the supply line meets the pipe coming out of the wall. That's a homeowner job all day. If your trouble is the main shutoff for the whole house, that's a different animal and a bigger day. Know which one you've got. All right, let's get into it. Number 1, shut off the main and trust nothing else. I know there's a valve right there under the sink that's supposed to do this, but think about why you're standing here. You're replacing that valve because it won't hold. So we don't bet the whole job on the one part we already know is broken. That's backwards, and it's how people spray water across a cabinet. Go find your main shutoff. Usually it's where the water line comes into the house. Basement, utility closet, garage, or in a warm climate house, sometimes out by the meter. Turn it all the way off. Not most of the way. All the way. Now here's the part I want you to actually do, not just nod at. After you shut the main, go back to the fixture and confirm the water is truly off before you loosen a single thing. Open the faucet. Watch it die down to nothing. If a dribble keeps coming, your main isn't all the way off, or something else is feeding the line, and you stop right there and sort that out first. Ask me how I know. A man who assumes the water is off is a man about to get a cold shower in his own kitchen. Number 2, bleed off the pressure and stage your rags. Even with the main off, there's water sitting in those lines with a little pressure behind it. Crack the valve open cold, and that water comes out to greet you. So we bleed it first. Open a faucet down low in the house. A basement laundry tub, a first floor tub, anything lower than where you're working. That lets the water in the lines fall and drain out the low point instead of out the pipe you're about to open. Give it a minute. Then set up like you mean it. A bucket under the valve, a towel folded in the bottom to catch the splash, a dry rag in your hand. There's always a little water left in that pipe no matter how careful you were, and you want to catch it, not chase it across the floor. Small thing. Do it anyway. Number 3, figure out exactly what you're dealing with before you buy a thing. This is the fork in the road. It decides whether today is easy or whether today is bigger than you signed up for. Get down there with a flashlight and look at how the old valve connects to the pipe coming out of the wall. Most of the time, in most houses, it's a compression stop on a copper stub. The copper pipe pokes out of the wall. The valve slides onto it, and it clamps down with a little brass ring called a ferrule and a nut that squeezes it. No torch, no solder, no sweat. That's the job I'm walking you through today. But look closer. If the valve is soldered onto the pipe, you'll see a smooth cup where they meet with no nut to unscrew. That's a sweated joint, and it means a torch. If the pipe threads straight into a fitting back in the wall, that's a threaded connection, and it can fight you. And if that copper stub is green and crusty, or it wiggles loose in the wall when you touch it, be honest with yourself. That may be past a simple swap, and there's no shame in that. A $5 part is a beautiful thing. But knowing when a job has grown teeth is what separates the fella who saves money from the fella who floods his kitchen and then pays double. Today, we stay in the easy lane. Compression stop, solid copper stub. Keep going. Number 4, buy the quarter turn, not another one of the old kind. Here's where I save you a future headache for the same $8 to $15. At the store, you'll see 2 styles. The old style is a multi-turn stop with a little round handle you spin around and around. Inside, a rubber washer does the sealing, and that rubber washer is exactly why the valve you're replacing failed. Rubber dries out, it cracks, it gets hard. 15 years in a hot cabinet, and it quits. Put in another one of those and you're just starting the same clock over. The one I want you reaching for is the quarter turn, ball-style stop, little lever handle. Quarter turn off, quarter turn on. Inside there's a polished ball instead of a rubber washer, and next to nothing in there to rot. Same money, or close to it, lasts far longer, and years from now it'll actually turn instead of seizing. Easiest upgrade in the house. If you take nothing else from me today, take that. One thing while you're at the store. Bring the size with you, or bring the old valve if you can. 2 measurements matter. The stub side, which on most homes is 1/2 inch copper, and the outlet side, where your supply line connects, which is usually 3/8 for a faucet or a toilet. Match both, and you walk out with the right part on the first trip. Guess, and you're driving back. Before we pull the old one off, let me tell you where we're headed, because the back half of this job is where the leaks live. Number 6 is that check almost nobody makes. Number 9 is the number 1 reason these things drip after you swear you did everything right. First, off comes the old valve. Before we pull that old valve, a quick word for the folks who like doing for themselves. That same instinct is what the book I keep by my bench is all about. It's called The Forgotten Workshop, 100 Lost Woodworking Skills in 1 volume. Old joinery that holds with no screws, nails, or glue. Finishes you mix for pennies from your own kitchen cabinet. It's linked in the description. Number 5, break the old valve loose without wrecking the stub. Now the old one comes off, and there's a right way that protects the pipe. Whatever you do here, you do not want to bend, twist, or scar that copper stub coming out of the wall. That stub is what your new valve seals against. A stub that's kinked or gouged will leak no matter how good your new part is. So use 2 wrenches. 2. One holds the body of the old valve steady. The other loosens the compression nut. Put only 1 wrench on it, and all your force goes straight into twisting that soft copper stub. And now you've got a bigger problem than you started with. 1 holds, 1 turns. That's the whole trick, and it saves more stubs than anything I know. And if that nut is froze on there with age, don't just lean harder and pray. Give it a shot of penetrating oil and let it sit a few minutes. Patience loosens what muscle only rounds off. Then back to your 2 wrenches. Nut comes loose. The valve slides off. Sometimes the old ferrule comes with it. Sometimes it stays stuck on the pipe. Either way, we deal with it next, because it matters more than you'd think. Number 6, inspect that stub like your job depends on it, because it does. This is the one I told you almost nobody checks, and it's the quiet reason for half the leaks I get called out to fix. With the old valve off, take a dry rag and clean the copper stub until it's bright. Then really look at it. You're checking 3 things. First, nicks or gouges, especially a scratch that runs the length of the pipe, because water will follow a scratch right past your seal. Second, is it round? If someone leaned on it over the years and it's gone a little oval, a ferrule can't grip it evenly. Third, that old ferrule. If there's still one stuck on there from the last valve, it has to come off. I'll say it plainly. Do not reuse the old ferrule, ever. If the stub is smooth, bright, and round, you're golden. Move on. If the end is chewed up, or you had to fight an old ferrule off and marred it, here's the fix. Take a small tubing cutter, cut a little off the end to get back to clean pipe, then knock the burr off inside and out. Leave enough pipe to seat the valve, and make sure the main is good and off before that cutter touches anything. Bright, round, smooth, deburred, get the stub right, and the rest of this job practically does itself. Number 7. New ferrule, new nut, every single time. I hinted at this, and now I'm planting a flag on it, because this is the number 2 cause of leaks in the whole business, right behind the one coming at number 9. That little brass ferrule is a one-time part. When you tighten it down the first time, it crushes and molds itself to your exact pipe, and that's how it seals. That shape is spent. It'll never seal that well again, and it sure won't seal on a different pipe or a different valve at a different angle. So it goes in the trash. Your new valve comes with a fresh ferrule and nut in the package, or you buy them for pocket change. You use the new ones. I've watched careful people do everything else right, and then reuse a squished old ferrule to save a quarter, then spend the whole next week chasing a drip and cursing. Don't be that person over a part that costs less than a stick of gum. Fresh ferrule, fresh nut onto the pipe. Then the valve. Number 8. Sealant, but only where it belongs, and this trips people up. Here's where folks get overeager, so listen close. Putting sealant in the wrong spot causes the exact leak you're trying to prevent. If your new valve has threaded connections, that's where thread sealant goes. 2 good options. Plumber's tape, the white PTFE tape, wrapped around the male threads 3 times, and wrapped clockwise so it tightens as you screw the fitting on instead of unraveling. Or pipe dope, the paste, brushed on the threads. Either one is fine. Pick your favorite, but here's the part I really need you to hear. Do not put tape or dope on the compression ferrule or the surface it seals against. That's not a threaded seal. It's metal, crushing into metal, and it needs to be clean and bare to work. Gunk it up with tape or paste, and you've kept it from sealing. Threads get sealant. The compression face gets nothing but clean metal. 2 different jobs. Keep them straight, and you're most of the way home. Number 9. The tightening. This is the big one, so I saved it. I told you at the start there was one mistake behind more of these leaks than anything else. This is it. The number 1 reason a fresh shut-off valve drips is people over-tighten it. And here's the cruel part. It feels like the responsible thing to do. More muscle, better seal, right? With a compression ferrule, it's the opposite. That ferrule is soft brass. It seals by squeezing just enough to bite the pipe and fill the gap. Snug it right, and it holds for 30 years. Crank on it like a lug nut and you crush it past its shape. You deform it, and now there's a channel for water to sneak through. And the harder you wrench to stop the drip, the worse you make it. Ask me how I know. I chased that exact drip as a young man, tightening harder every time, wondering why it kept getting worse. My Uncle Ray watched me a minute, then told me to take it apart, put in a fresh ferrule, and barely tighten it. Sealed the first try. So here's the feel. Thread the nut on by hand until it stops. Then take your wrench and go about a 1/2 to 3/4 of a turn past hand tight. That's it. Snug, not savage. If you're grunting, you've gone too far. When in doubt, stop early. You can always add a touch if it weeps. You cannot uncrush a ferrule. Going easy right here is the difference between a job that holds and a week of misery. Number 10. Bring the water back slow and prove it under pressure. Don't go turn the main on full blast and walk away proud. We bring it back easy, and we watch. First, close that low faucet you opened to drain the lines. Then go to the main and open it slowly, part way, letting pressure come up gentle instead of slamming the whole system. Now come back to your work with a fresh dry rag and a flashlight. You've got 2 spots to check, not 1, and people forget the second. First, the compression joint where the valve meets the stub, the one we just made. Second, the connection where the supply line screws onto the new valve to feed the fixture. Both are under pressure now. Both can weep. Run a dry finger around each. Dry is good. Any wet at all, even a bead, means something isn't seated. Then, and this takes patience, watch it a few minutes. Some leaks don't show in the first 10 seconds. A slow weep takes a minute or two to bead up, so stand there. Wipe it dry. Wait. Look again. Bone dry under full pressure for a few minutes means you did it right. And if you find a weep at the compression nut, the answer is almost never more wrenching. Shut it down, drain it, and put in a fresh ferrule, because you likely crushed the first one. I told you that ferrule was a one-time part, and that's the whole job. 10 steps. A part that cost you less than lunch, and a repair a plumber would have charged a couple $100 in half a day for. You did it yourself in about 20 minutes, and you did it right, which means you won't be back under there next month. Do yourself one favor down the road. Twice a year, reach under and turn that new quarter-turn valve off and back on. 10 seconds. It keeps the ball from ever seizing, so it's always ready the day you actually need it. Now the bonus I promised, the old telltale trick, and it's the one that lets you sleep easy. Even after your joint sits dry a few minutes, water's sneaky, and a really slow weep can hide. So do what the old hands do. Tear off a square of dry paper towel or a sheet of newspaper and lay it right under the connection before you pack up. Leave it overnight. In the morning, go look. If that paper is bone dry, the job is truly done, and you know it for a fact instead of hoping. If there's even a spot on it, you caught a slow one early before it ever rotted a cabinet floor or stained the ceiling below. That square of paper is the cheapest insurance in your whole house. My Uncle Ray never finished a joint without it, and neither do I. If this saved you a plumber bill, here's where to head next. That same do-it-yourself streak runs all through The Forgotten Workshop. 100 lost woodworking skills in one volume. Old way joinery, homemade finishes, and weekend builds that outlast the store-bought stuff. It's linked in the description. And to keep this old trade know-how coming, subscribe to the Vintage Pipefitter. We're keeping these skills alive so they don't stay buried.